Hello, dear friends. In this video, we will talk about the three cycles of Saturn. This is something which can be very helpful if you understand it, and also it's quite universal. So, this is something that would apply to everyone. So, let me explain first why Saturn is so important for us, and then I will talk about the three stages or the three different cycles which Saturn kind of like marks in everyone's life. So, first of all, Saturn is very important because this is the last visible planet, and it kind of like holds everything together. This is the planet which is related to material forms, related to our responsibilities in life, related to maturing and being reasonable and being wise and learning our lessons. This is also one of the really important planets when it comes to karma, because Saturn is also the planet of justice. So this planet is really one which we should look at and we should analyze. And there are many lessons that come with this planet. And this is also a pretty slow planet. So if we compare Saturn to, let's say, Mars needs 2 years to make a full cycle. Basically, by cycle here, we mean that the planet is moving through the whole zodiac, making a full circle through all of the signs. So the Sun needs 1 year to do that. Mars needs 2 years. Jupiter needs around 12. Saturn needs around 29, 30 years. So obviously that's a long period. And this cycle lasts, 3 decades almost. So according to that, we can kind of like divide the human life into 3 stages. The first one is obviously from the day we were born until, let's say, 29, 30 years old. The second one between 29 until around 58. And of course, the third one is after 58, and we don't put an end, of course. So those 3 stages, and the third is kind of like an open one. It may last more than 30 years. We are still in this. They are very important from a karmic perspective, and when it comes to the lessons that we need to learn. One thing I want to mention here is that people may respond and react very differently to the energy of Saturn, depending on, first of all, the status of Saturn in your chart. Is it strong? Is it kind of like in an accentuated position, or is it weak or with difficult aspects? Like, this is very important, and overall the whole chart, because it shows how we process this energy. But overall, we can say that the first cycle of Saturn, so until the age of 29, 30, somehow we are more connected to the past. If you are open to the idea of previous incarnations, you might look at that from this perspective, like we need to handle with more things that come from our past experience, the experience of the soul. And this is the time when we are really growing. And this mark, 2930, this is the first Saturn return. And for many people, this is kind of an important, sometimes even critical phase in their life. So some people usually recognize that they are no longer children, that some years have passed, and we start to make reassessment. Okay, I'm almost 30 years old. What have I done during this time? What do I want to do? So usually this is a time of reassessment. And for some people, of course, this could be the time when they can kind of like have more stability and organize things even better. That's the case if we have already worked with the Saturn energy. If we are not avoiding our responsibilities, if we are maturing, if we are committed to achieve things, usually this is a time when, yes, we may need to slow down and look around, but then we really have this possibility to kind of like hold everything and organize it and be even more stable in our lives. Unfortunately, for many people, this is a time of some kind of grief or starting to feel sorry for things that we have had in the past, or we may also judge ourselves. This is quite typical as well. So this is the time when typically we ask ourselves the question, am I wasting my time? Or have I wasted my time? Or what am I going to do with the rest of my time here? And this is not something bad. Even if it feels kind of challenging sometimes, this is a good thing, because this can kind of like make us look at things objectively. And if there are some mistakes that we have done, we need to acknowledge that. But we can also, and actually we need to understand that we have so much time ahead. And this is really the point of this age, to make a reassessment. And this is also putting the beginning of the second cycle of Saturn. So the second cycle is between the age of 29, 30 until approximately 58, 60. During those 3 decades, we need to be more present, like engaged with our life the way it is right now. Usually those are the times when we have the responsibilities of the grown-ups. For many people, this is the time when they focus on family, on children, on career. So it's really about achieving things and kind of like following your role in society, basically, whatever that might be. So this is the time to be present. Usually during this age or during this time, some of the burdens are gone. So some of the limitations of the past are somehow, we have overcome them. So this is an age when we may feel more present. Again, of course, it depends on many factors, what we are going to do with this phase of our life. But overall, the important things are to be present and to, really do the best with your time, basically. And then we get to an even more interesting phase. Around the age of 58, 60, something like that, which is the end of the second cycle and the beginning of the third cycle. This can be also a very transformational point. And here, again, we really have 2 different paths. And it depends on us what we are going to do with this. So one path is to think and feel like we are old, to feel like the burden of the years and, the body has changed, which is of course completely normal. We are no longer who we used to be. That's also normal. And to kind of like focus more on the growing part, like the aging part. And this is especially relevant for people who think of themselves only as their human body, who are not that interested in spiritual growth or their own development besides the material stuff. So for those people, usually this age is not easy because some things are no longer relevant. Usually the kids are grown up. Usually in our career, we have gotten to our peak, even though, of course, there are people who get their peak even later in life, and that's also great. But for most people, they have already either achieved what they want or they kind of like recognize that they don't no longer want those things. So again, we have a big shift in terms of our values, and we are evaluating, we are judging things. So one way that some people choose is to feel like, okay, it's kind of over. I'm about to retire. My kids don't need me anymore. My career, well, I'm already at this age. Many people retire around this age, and if the focus again is only on the material side of our experience on the body, then this usually feels like the end is near, or there is nothing more I can do, nothing more I can achieve. So it could be kind of a depressing phase. But I want to also talk about the other direction, which of course is much better and much more optimistic. And this Saturn energy, so this second return of Saturn, can actually have a liberating impact on our life, especially for those who seek something beyond the, what we can touch and see, so beyond the material life. Someone who wants to focus on something that they are excited about, that they are interested in, something about their spiritual growth, their own development. Actually, those decades that come after this age of approximately 60 can actually be times of freedom. Yes, the body is no longer the same, but this allows us to value more the other things. And we may no longer have the burden of the responsibilities, like pursuing status, constantly taking care of others, having like 1,000 responsibilities. This is an age when we need to kind of like give ourselves a rest from the 1,000 responsibilities that most of us have, and to look beyond. And from that point of view, this can be the beginning of a wonderful period in our life. A period which is bringing us freedom. We are no longer in this, how do you say that, the hamster wheel, like chasing, constantly competing with others. Usually those things kind of like, they just go away after the second Saturn return. And we start to care more about other things, like the really meaningful things. It's kind of like, again, Saturn bringing the theme about the forms, but this time it's more about, let's just stop caring so much about this form, and let's just focus more on the essence of things. And that's the creative approach. Again, unfortunately, this is not promised to everyone. It really depends on our perspective. But that is, for me, the constructive direction, when you can set yourself free from social expectations and all of the other things that we have pursued until this time, and care more about the essence, how you feel on the inside, what you want to do, but not because you want to be respected about it, or you want to achieve status, or because you feel like this is an obligation, but more because that's what you want. That's where your heart is leading you. That's where your soul wants to go. So Saturn can kind of like, take those burdens away. It's like almost we can allow ourselves to be more of who we are. So this can be very different for the different people. But again, my main idea here is that it's very important what our perspective is. And the different Saturn stages, of course, each of those has a point. We cannot skip a step. We cannot like cheat here or cut the edges or whatever. We need to get through the whole process. But there's also lots of beauty that comes with it. And ironically, you see, this is how life works and how also astrology works, is that we have those dualities, and at the same time those dualities are the same, like the two sides of the same coin. So from one side, Saturn can put you in limitations, like barriers, boundaries, restrictions, and at the same time this could be also a planet which can help you to get rid of all of that and like open up. So we do need Saturn. Sometimes it's kind of a, I think, popular idea that Saturn is very bad. It will bring you difficulties. Prepare for the hardship and all of that. Here on the earth, life could not exist without the Saturn energy. This is what holds everything together in a material form. But of course, we should also be able to look what's underneath this, or what's like the essence which is behind, or under the material form. And all of that happens through Saturn. So don't be afraid of Saturn. Don't try to avoid it. Try to do the right thing, to be reasonable, and to really evaluate things. What Saturn really treasures is honesty. Like, be concrete how things are. Don't try to sugarcoat things. Don't try to lie to yourself. No, this is about honesty and about seeing things as they are. Saturn may have a very grounding influence on us and kind of like help us to look at things the way they are. So I hope you will learn your Saturn lessons in the best possible way for you, hopefully in a constructive and creative way. And let me know in the comments, in which phase are you right now, and how is Saturn treating you? And do you feel like Saturn is a burden for you, or it's actually helping you to be in touch with reality and be grounded? And sometimes it might be both, actually. But I would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you next time.